Okay. You don't want me to tell that story? No. Um, so, we again with the printing, we used to have things. A couple of stories. One was that whenever Guru was out of town, we would because we there was a point when with 10,000 Flower Flames, with the start of 10,000 Flower Flames, essentially what would happen was that Guru wrote the poems. They would go to the Compographic, and by 3 o'clock in the afternoon they would come to Agni Press, where the boss would like print, shoot all the film to develop the plates, the printing plates. I worked at that time at the Small of the Beyond until 2 o'clock, and then I would go home for about 5 minutes just to kind of like relax, change maybe into my printing gear, and then go over to Agni Press and be there by 3 o'clock. And the whole thing was that we had it down to a point where we could print the whole thing in pretty much in 3 or 4 hours. And we would print like 1,000 copies of the book. Then it would go down to the bindery where it would be collated and folded, collated, and then made into a book, which was usually done by 9 o'clock. And it was always done pretty much on a Wednesday. And the deal was essentially the way that it had kind of worked out, and I guess maybe it was good as idea in the first place, but it would come to PS 86 at like 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock after Prasad, Guru would sell it. And he would usually sell maybe like maybe if he's lucky, 350 copies from all the people that were there, the locals plus maybe 1 or 2 visitors. And that would be it. And then the rest of it would remain in the basement of Agni Press, unfolded and whatever, positive. So when Guru would be out of town, we would have these weekends, essentially, that maybe 4 or 5 of like the regular guys at Agni Press would come in. We'd come in and in the early evening on a Saturday, and we'd start like doing this whole thing to try and get rid of this like backlog, because as I said, we were getting 1,000 copies of every book every week. And there was quite a lot of the stuff, So that was a big thing. We'd have these kind of like, almost like Agni Press parties, And so we'd have this whole system together. And then there was a sort of thing that by about midnight, it got kind of really, we were all getting really tired. We needed like a break because we'd been just, folding and binding and collating and binding for a few hours, And so there was this regular thing not far from where the press was. There was a bowling alley called Jib Lanes, which during celebrations sometimes we would have bowling tournaments there, and 10-pin bowling it was. So, and this place was open 24 hours a day. So we would get like in a few cars, and we'd drive over to Jib Lanes, and we would bowl for a couple hours, and we'd feel a bit more refreshed, and then we would come back. And we would work again on doing as many books as we could. So now we had, and during circus, during celebrations, they would have lots of copies of books, especially for the visiting disciples that came, which they'd sometimes sell. Normally, Guru sold them for like $3, but during circus, because all the surplus ones would be sold for like $1. So that was kind of real bonus. And one time, because Guru used to, every once in a while, Guru would suddenly appear at Agni Press. We had the front door was always locked, so that people couldn't just walk in, but there's a window in the door. And suddenly you'd see Guru's face maybe on a Saturday evening or something like that, when he'd be there printing, and there was all this noise going on and everything. And eventually, someone would go and answer the door, and Guru would bring food. Sometimes food from the house, sometimes he would get from the local pizzeria, and he'd bring food for us, So that was kind of like a very special, joyful thing to happen, that Guru would do that. But also what was happening is like, this is New York, and this is New York boys, so there was like a regular thing on Sundays while we were printing, the way we was printing like on Saturdays or Sunday evenings, we would listen to the radio. And on Saturdays, often it was like, there'd be a baseball game, 2 of the local teams would be playing, so we'd be listening to the baseball game. But then sometimes there was this thing where at certain times of the year, on Saturday evenings, they would have this sort of like Frank Sinatra hour or something, and we'd be listening to Frank Sinatra songs. And there was like two phones. There was a regular phone in Agni Press, and then there's the red phone, which is direct. The guru could call directly, but sometimes the guru just called on the regular phone anyway. And so, but one time, every once in a while, like when he'd call on the red phone, we'd be listening to like the music or whatever, you know, and it would be like a shock, you know. So there was this thing, and Guru kind of knew about what was going on in the press. That sometimes, because he just wanted us to be happy, you know. If we were in a happy mood, then, like Guru had said, you know, whatever mood you're in translates into the book. And when the seeker gets the book, if it's joyful, they also feel joyful when they read the book. You know, if you're talking too much, or you do this and everything, then that's what will start to happen, you know. So anyway, Guru knew all this stuff that was going on, and then when we, some years in, like when we used to have meetings at this Perfection Surprise, we would have functions there, and we'd have plays and stuff and everything. And Guru actually asked, because again, you know, the Swanson brothers had got this play group, but they were printers at Agni Press. So he asked them, can they write a play about what goes on at Agni Press, so everybody else could see, because he knew, but most of the disciples in New York or visitors didn't know. So we did this play, and in this play we actually kind of like had a mock-up of like a printing press, where we had the guys. One would be like bringing the paper over like this, and the other one catching it like this, so it was going through the press. So we had this whole motion of like, you know, printing one of Guru's books. But they had a tape recorder set up that would have like maybe Frank Sinatra music or, you know, rock music or something going on. And then we had a red phone, and then the red phone would ring, and then it'd be this rush to switch the tape player to playing Guru's music. And of course, Guru thought this was absolutely hilarious, because he knew that was kind of like, in a sense, it was what was really going on, and it was a surprise to all the disciples that were in the audience, you know, and they would see the humor in the whole thing. And then you'd see like the boss talking to Guru, saying, "Yes, Guru, no, Guru, yes, Guru, no, Guru." Put the phone down, and immediately he was back to the Frank Sinatra music, you know. So again, he got a lot of laughter. I mean, it was a very short, maybe 15-minute play. But again, it was doing what Guru wanted us to show everyone else, you know, every other disciple, what's kind of like, you know. But again, it's showing and expressing that, you know, it's a very joyful process.